First, select the default cube and press delete. Then hide the default camera and the default light. Now press the tilde key and choose right view. Next, press Shift+A and add a cylinder. Open the cylinder properties and set the number of vertices to 32. Press Tab to enter edit mode. Hold Alt and select the top edge loop and press delete, then choose faces to delete the top face. Choose face select mode and select a face. Then press A to select all. Now press Alt+E and choose extrude faces along normals and move the cursor to extrude. Once you are satisfied with the thickness, press I+Z to switch to X-ray view and check the offset even checkbox to make the extrusions even. Press Alt+Z to exit X-ray view. Now press the tilde key and choose right view. Now go to the edge select mode and press Ctrl+R and scroll up to make loop cuts. Then left click once to finalize and right click to set the loop cuts in position. And set the number of loop cuts to 11. Again press Alt+Z to switch to X-ray view. Hold Alt and select the bottom edge loop of the inner wall. Then press G and then Z and move up the bottom edge loop. Hold Shift to move it slowly. Align the inner bottom edge above the two subdivisions of the outer wall. Again, press Ctrl+R and scroll up to make loop cuts to the inner walls of the glass. Then left click once to finalize and right click to set the loop cuts in position and set the number of loop cuts to 9. Press Alt+Z to exit X-ray view. This is how it looks. Now go to the right view again and enter face select mode and select all the outer faces. Then hold Alt and drag the middle mouse button to change the view. Hold Shift and select all the faces on the opposite side. And once you've selected all the faces on the outer wall, right-click and choose Both Faces. And this is how it must look. Now press Ctrl+I to invert the selection to select all the faces excluding the outer wall. Now press H to hide the selection. Now go to Vertex Select mode and choose one of the vertices at the center of the poked face and press Shift+G and choose Amount of Connecting Edges to select all the similar vertices of the poked faces. Once you've selected all the vertices, press Alt+S to extrude out the selected vertices. Now press Alt+H to unhide the selection. This is how your glass must look by now. Now press Tab to enter object mode. Next, let's add some modifiers to smoothen the mesh. Open the Modifiers tab and add a bevel modifier. And then add a subdivision surface modifier. Set the segments to 2 and decrease the amount to your liking. I'm setting my amount to 0.02 meters. Once you're okay with how it looks, press Ctrl+A and apply scale, and then right-click and shade smooth. This will smoothen the mesh. Now that we have our finished model, let's go to the material preview mode. Now let's apply some glass material to the object. For that, Select the object and go to Materials tab and click New to add a new material. And name this material as glass. And open the surface option and choose Glass BSDF and decrease the roughness all the way to 0 to make the material look like glass. And this is how it should look. Now let's check if the normals are facing outwards or inwards. For that, open the Viewport Overlays tab and check Face Orientation. If the object is looking red, then you must normalize the faces. For that, press Tab to enter Edit Mode and choose Face Select Mode, and press A to select all the faces. Then press Shift+N to recalculate the normals. And if all your faces turn blue, then you have successfully recalculated normals. So let's exit Face Orientation View and press Tab to enter Object Mode. Now name the object as glass. Now let's make the liquid content of the glass. For that, press Shift+D to duplicate, and this makes two glass objects. So hide the first one and rename the duplicate as liquid. Now enter Solid Mode and let's model the liquid. Press Tab to enter Edit Mode. Make sure you are in the Face Select mode and hold Alt and select all the top faces of the glass and press Delete and choose Faces to delete all the faces you've selected. Now click one of the outer faces and press L to select all the outer faces. Then press Delete and choose Faces. And now we are left only with the inner wall of the glass. And hide the original glass object. And press Alt+Z to switch to X-ray view. Go to the right view, and this is how the object should look by now. I want to keep the liquid till the third subdivision of the inner wall. So hide the outer glass and select all the faces above the bottom three subdivisions and press Delete and choose Faces to delete all. Press Alt+Z to exit X-ray view, and this is how your liquid model should look. Now go to the Edge Select mode and hold Alt and select the top edge loop. Then press E and then S to close the top face. Hold Ctrl to scale down in increments. Again, press E and then S and close down the top face. Repeat it until you have left with a small hole. And finally press F to fill the hole. This is your liquid object. Press Tab to enter Object Mode. Again, open Viewport Overlays and check Face Orientation. And since your liquid object is red, press Tab to enter Edit Mode and choose Face Select Mode and press A to select all, and then press Shift+N to recalculate normals. Now exit Face Orientation and press Tab to enter Object Mode. Now go to the Material Preview mode, and this is how your liquid object must look. Now click the New Material button to duplicate the material with all the same properties of the original material. Now rename this new duplicate material as liquid and set the IOR value to 1.33 to simulate the look of liquid. I'm applying an orange-brown color for the liquid. And finally, unhide the outer glass. This is how it should look by now. Now let's make a floor. For that, press Shift+A and add a plane. Press G and then Z and move down the plane. And then press S and scale it up. Now let's make the background as well. Press Tab to enter Edit Mode and choose Edge Select Mode. And click the edge at the back. And press E and then Z to extrude the edge up. Extrude it as tall as you like. Now left click once. And this is how your platform should look. Now let's round the corner. So select the corner edge and press Ctrl+B to bevel and scroll up to increase the subdivisions. Once you are satisfied, press Tab to enter Object Mode and right-click and Shade Smooth. Let's apply a material to the platform as well. So click New and create a new material and name it Platform. And increase the metallic value all the way up to 0.960 and the roughness to 0.951. This will make the platform less reflective and gives a matte look. I'm applying a light yellow color to the platform. Now let's set up the camera and lights. So unhide the camera and the default light. Hold Shift and use the middle mouse button to adjust the scene to your liking. Once you are satisfied, press Ctrl-Alt-Numpad 0 to set the camera view. And toggle the camera view lock. And use the hand icon to bring the object into the camera view. Once you're satisfied, release the camera lock. Now let's set up the output properties. For that, go to the Output tab and set the XY values the same to output a square image. Now let's change the camera focal length. So select the camera and go to Camera Properties and set the focal length to 85 meters. This focal length gives a dynamic look to the glass. Toggle the camera view and zoom out a bit. And release the camera lock. Now let's split the screen. For that, right-click on a corner and choose Vertical Split. And divide the screen into two parts. We'll use the left half of the screen to view the render preview, and whatever the changes we make them on the right half of the screen. So scroll the mouse wheel and set the left screen to render preview. And now the moment of truth. Open Render Properties and set the render engine to cycles and set the device to GPU compute. Now let's set up the lighting. This is the most crucial part of your setup. Go to the solid mode. Let's hide the camera for now. And let's add a few lights. Select the default light and press Delete. First, let's add a backlight to give a dynamic look to the drink. For that, press Shift+A and add a point light. Change the view and press G and then X to move the point light in X-axis. Move the point light a bit down to place it right behind the drink. You can already see the effect of point light behind your glass. Once you are satisfied with the position of the point light, go to Light Properties tab and set the radius to 0.1 meters. And set the power to 50 watts. This will light up the drink from behind and gives a nice look to your glass. Next, let's add a top light. For that, press Shift+A and add an area light. Keep the light selected and press G and then Z to move up the light. Move it up as far as you like and set the power to 100 watts. This will fairly light up your glass. Now press S and then Y to scale the light in Y-axis. Scaling the lights this way will make them act as those LED tube lights used in studio photography. Now, let's add some fill light. For that, press Shift+D to duplicate the light and move it 45 degrees to the left of your glass. Now press G and then Z and move the light a bit down to the level of the glass. Now press R and then X to rotate the light in X-axis. Again, move the light a bit down. And then press R and Z to point the light towards the glass. Point the light to the background of the glass instead of directly pointing it at. Now press S and press X twice to scale the light horizontally. And again press S to scale up the light. And press G to move the light a bit to the back. Adjust the light a little bit. Once you're okay with how it looks, now let's set up two side lights. For that, select the top light and press Shift+D to duplicate and move it to the left. Again, duplicate the top light and move the duplicate to the right. Now hold Shift and select both the duplicated lights and press G and then X to move the lights to the back. Again, press G and then Z and move the lights down to the level of the glass. Now select the left light and press R and then X to point it towards the glass. Again, press R and then Z and point the light directly towards the glass. This will light up the drink a bit more. Then press S and then Z to make the light taller. This step will light up the outer edge of the glass evenly and set the power to 400 watts. Now let's move the other light. Select the second duplicate light and press R and then X to rotate it upwards. Again, press R and press G to point the light directly at the outer edge of the glass, and press S and then Z to make the light taller. This will light up the other edge of the glass. Now select the light and press G and press Z twice to move the light backwards and set the power to 300 watts. And finally, let's set the power of the fill light to 1000 watts. And this is how your lighting setup should look. Now, before we go to the final render, let's adjust the camera view a bit. So, toggle the camera view lock and adjust the scene a bit using the middle mouse button. Use the hand icon to move the glass into the frame. Let's adjust the backlight a little bit before we go to the final render. Move the light a bit closer to the glass to light up the drink a bit more. Remember, this is the most crucial part of your setup because this will make or break the scene. So take your time to adjust the light setup to your liking. And go to Render Properties and set the max samples to 50 to speed up the render. And finally, go to Render and select Render Image. You can see the render progress at the bottom. Once the render is finished, open the Image tab and click Save As. Choose any folder you like and enter a name and click Save As Image. And finally, close the Render tab and let's save the project file. For that, go to the File menu and click Save As. and type in the file name and click Save As. And that's how you make a stylistic drinking glass in Blender.